This is Weird Renegade Witches blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done. Of course, go to the Weird Renegade website, click onto the link of Blog Talk Radio, listen to past shows of Blog Talk Radio, and you know the lessons are ending this month, the monthly lessons that I have. As I say, just to see where you at in your frequencies and the foundation of your work. In addition to, as you know, I do the one-on-one energies to see where you at again with your frequencies, your spell work, where you need help with in your energies. That's how I always call it spiritual psychology. You always understand that the work, as we call spell work, is separate from the one-on-one energies, and both can work hand in hand. But that's where it is, because you all already know what I say, because art is occultism. Occultism is an art. And Wayward is about that revenge, redemption, and responsibility. Okay, as we talk about revenge and responsibility, I've been looking at the world and its frequencies, and I really want to keep this video really short. And I listen to social media a lot. I listen to what people are talking about. And I've talked about this before, that they have us in a childlike state. You have everybody telling you what to do, what not to do, what to eat, what not to eat, how to live, how not to live, what to buy, what not to buy, who not to fuck with, who to fuck with. Is all the above, right? So therefore our mind have basically reverted into being a child again. And I have this energy of accountability versus responsibility. And we're too busy out here listening to this new code called accountability. No, I don't want, and I said this to you before, I don't want to be accountable for shit. I'd rather be responsible. Let's be responsible on certain levels. Let's understand what we're listening to, what the fuck is going on, what is going on in this universal soul. So let's have a conversation here. I've been very interested with this whole energy, as they call Palestine and Israel. And what made me interested in Palestine and Israel, as other than what I said before, which I still mean it, I don't want to get involved with those two baby mamas, is the fact that Israel and Palestine is collateral damage. The people are collateral damage. We so desensitized that we don't understand that their own leaders, we're going to call them leaders, principalities, are sacrificing the people for their well-being. So we don't look at them as human beings. We don't look at them as victims and they're being victimized. We look at Palestine as the enemy. We look at Israel as the enemy. But we don't understand, them people don't even probably have a clue what the fuck is really going on in their own country. When I was listening to this Middle Eastern woman, she was talking a lot about the Islamic energy, and she was talking about some of the men who are supposed to be these leaders in the Islamic energy are really full of shit, and they're colonizers, and they're part of the problem. And when we're looking at these frequencies of Palestine and Israel, we have to be extra careful. But what's very interesting is, are we the ones with the mental illness? That's what I'm saying. Are we so blinded of not seeing what's really going on, that these people are being sacrificed and they're collateral damage, and we want to keep talking about, well, the Palestinians did this and the Palestinians did that. And when I'm talking, I'm looking at it as a whole, and how some of the people have an interesting energy, as I talked about Israel and some of their behaviors and how they treat, certain ethnicities, the Eritreans, the Ethiopians, and so on, and even Black people, and the behaviors, yes. But many of them people are victims. See, we look at everything what they tell us and the bewitchery and the universal soul, but we really don't think is the people who lead their country, right? So I was listening to some podcasts and they had a lot to say. And these makeshift podcasts, and you have to understand, these people are part of the cult. So they put all these people up. Like, I was listening to this woman, she was saying Sexy Red has a mental illness, and we're listening to all these people who have mental illnesses, right? Then I was listening to this black man that was up there saying the reason why the world is the way it is for black people is because black women get on social media acting unruly and, and basically misfits and hoish, right? So we have all of these line of podcasts with all of these makeshift niggas always got something to say. They want to talk about you being gay. They want to talk about the man. They want to talk about the woman. They want to talk about the various issues. They want to talk about what's going on in the entertainment world. And this is what's happening. That's what's happening. But it's nothing but talk. So when you're listening to all of those frequencies and all of those bewitcheries, who is the one who have a mental illness? I would say it's us, because we're condoning it. You getting on a podcast, you talking all this shit, but you ain't doing shit about it. You just talking. You up there, you're not protesting about it. You're not going to these studios or whosoever. You're literally supporting the behavior because you're part of the behavior. So what is our mental illness that we're sitting up here condoning, watching someone like a Sexy Red and her behaviors and what the fuck she's saying, and a Sukahana and all of this love and hip hop stuff and Basketball Wives? Why are we condoning the Evelyn Lozadas, who, she has a reputation over there in Texas. They saying she on that whole shit, allegedly. We're condoning these behaviors and we're saying they have a mental illness. No, we have a mental illness because we're condoning the behaviors, right? We don't even think about a lot of these people that we're seeing in the entertainment world are victims. Like, somebody was saying to me, they met Sexy Red, right? And they met Sexy Red by accident. Basically, they were saying that Sexy Red crew people hired his car. So what was happening is Sexy Red, what he was saying is that he said Sexy Red don't have any money. And when you see her, he said she looks broke, allegedly. And he said she needed to present a facade. So she needed a certain vehicle. So basically, they hired a vehicle, had her get in the vehicle just for her to get out of the vehicle so they could take pictures to pretend like she was really in that car, like she's the shit. But they said when you see her, she looks poor. That's a facade. That's fake. That's a mental illness. And that's the energy being presented to our children and our young adults. It's fake as fuck. There's a mental illness when you have people who look up to Jay-Z and think he's the end all and be all. That's a mental illness. There's a mental illness if we're looking at concerts and we can clearly see the variations of the people don't look right, from Madonna to Beyonce. I've been looking at the Madonna concert. I said, who's this person? And when you look at the thighs and the legs, who is this masculine person? And who would have their child voguing down a catwalk? How come we see the shit, but we not calling it out? But who has the mental illness? Just like Hunter Biden, why are we not tripping that he's darker than the rest of the people? Meaning his mother and father. Who does he belong to? Or who's his mother? How come the rest of the kids don't look like that? How come we didn't know that Biden has a twin brother? How is it that this man Biden can change his features and looks all the time and we're just like, this shit is nothing? We'll sit up and have a conversation and talk like that's for real Biden. We're not tripping that everybody who's acting weird and ghetto and hoish, they're all involved or have a connection with Epstein and Weinstein. What the fuck is really going on with Michelle Obama? After we seen that she has a connection with Weinstein and it seemed like they said, well, you got to go hood. All of this is happening, but we say they have the mental illness. Okay? Somebody was telling me about this person named Lil Tracy and said that Lil Tracy is a full hack. He's a full lie. He can't even afford his fucking tour. But he will get probably right on stage wearing jewelry and whatever else, and you have your teens and young adults looking up to this energy. And these people be out here Brokeback Mountain like a motherfucker. It's all a facade. They're out here telling us Sexy Red is pregnant. Is she? Because we don't know what that is. Because when I seen that sex tape, that man's penis almost got a splinter. Because from the looks of it, it didn't completely look female, allegedly. But you get thrown off with when they sit up and say these people are having children. Okay? You don't know if that's real. You don't know what that is. But you will say they have a mental illness. But you're condoning it. I talk a lot about Scarlett because I said that's my guilty pleasure. But Scarlett, she glitches a lot. She goes on one a lot. That's not bipolarism. That's a form of schizophrenia. But you will say she has a mental illness. We not peeping these people got payees in the entertainment world. But they got a mental illness. We're up here watching all of this fucked up, nasty and raunchy ass shit, but they have a mental illness. We're not asking questions about the immigrants. And we keep saying they're volatile, they're this, they're that. Everything is true. But something made me think, and something came to me, and information just conversing back and forth and peeping stuff. They're victims. They're being forced into America. They're being forced into a voting situation. They're being forced to be slaves. They're being forced into something. We're not even peeping the new game going on, especially in the world of house cleaning. Are you guys not tripping? How there's this growing industry of house cleaning, and some of these women come up in your house and don't even clean your house right? Because that's not their job. They're being forced to do it. Some people believe that it's connected to a cartel energy. Some of it is connected to prostitution. Some of it is connected to giving money back into Central and South America. We're not talking about this. And you're saying they have a mental illness? No, we have the mental illness. If we don't see that they're victims also, you don't peep like, why in the fuck are these people sleeping on the ground? What the fuck is really going on here? They over here telling you to pray for Palestine. Then they over here telling you to pray for Israel. What the fuck is going on here? And as black people, we better stay our asses up out of it, because we got to pray for our fucking selves. Because we got to figure out if these immigrants are going to take the resources, or when we have political issues, we will be merged together with they shit. And we got our own shit. We can't even practice spirituality right. We have so many people out here telling you what it is and what it ain't. And we don't even know, right? What's very interesting is I was listening to this energy. We don't know where in the fuck these people coming from. We don't know who they are. And we're wondering why a lot of these people have mental disorders, right? In New York, we know about Dr. York. But how many other cults are in New York, right? So more and more, and I was listening to what's up with these entertainers, right? People just don't have a sick ass mind, just have a sick ass mind. So we want to say they eat children, they do this, they have sexual frequencies, but a lot of these people were in cults. I was listening to something about Michelle Pfeiffer being in a cult called Brethren, some other cult called God's Children or God's Child. You know, have River Phoenix and all of them in it. You have the girl from Who's the Boss? She was in the cult. All these people know each other, and then they'll push them into Hollywood. Then you wonder why they are who they are, because these people have already been bred and under ritual. You can't just take someone from a nice home and put them in that energy. A lot of them have been in a cult. Kanye West talked about his ass being in a Japanese cult. Doja Cat was in the cult with Alice Coltrane, that Hindu ass shit that was in the Bay Area. We used to have Christian cults. Now we didn't burst away from that shit and got into this weird ass shit. Real. Right? And then you're wondering why these people eat babies. They do all this weird shit, eating feces, rolling in feces, doing the most, sacrifice, because they all under a certain energy. And we are refusing to look at the mental illness. What's this woman named Kat Vaughn or something? She moved from Southern California. And I think her husband, somebody does that cholo rap, or I'm not sure, whatever. And she moved to Indiana, and she has a song that I think came out or coming out today called Vampire. But then she's gonna turn around talking about she's been baptized. No, you are baptized under the energies of the Antichrist of Romanesque, because that shit is not the real baptism that these people are putting themselves under. When we talk people like Black China and all these individuals, they're under a cult. And then when you start to research and understand a lot of this shit, especially with them coming out of Maryland, New York, Philadelphia, and all of that energy, you will understand we don't know who in the fuck these people are. Like, for example, I understood about Dr. York, but who is this Devron LeGrand? I said, well, who is this? This man had a whole nun gypsy cult going on. He had some shit in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights at 222 Brooklyn, I guess 222 Brooklyn area. Oh, and his church was called St. John's Pentecostal of Our Lord. He had black women or women out in the streets panhandling. Okay? And they were saying this fool was killing motherfuckers. They said he had 11 women up in that house, 7 pregnant women, and 47 babies. And they said the kids all look like him. That's a cult. And my question is, where in the fuck are those kids at that were born to this man? They put his ass on trial in 1976. He died in 2006 at 82 years old. They said the house was still going on. They call it the LeGrand house was still going on until I guess it caught on fire. I think in May of 22 or 23. This is a whole cult. And we don't know where those kids went. We don't know shit about where those kids went from Dr. York. We don't know where those kids went from all the rest of those cults, from Jim Jones and all. We don't know where those kids went from, what's his name, Devron LeGrand? We don't know. We don't even know the extent of this energy that's out here and this bewitchery of all of these rituals and cults. You have so many motherfuckers out here with so much bullshit and so much spirituality bullshit. You have white women named Angela Yuchi out here talking about that if you're a Cancer, that's a demon sign. All of that astrology and astronomy is demon time. We already know what the fuck it is. And most of us are doing astrology or astronomy wrong, period. White people ain't telling us shit that we already don't know. What it is that the white people are getting on the bandwagon of Christianity and they are reversing and doing the shit that we used to do. Like sometimes I will walk up to people like, oh, when's your birthday? And they be like, oh, I don't believe in that. So you're going to have a new cult and new people who have this philosophy of that's all demon. So what they're doing is getting back into the Pentecostal energies. It's fake as fuck. Are you going to tell me the Mayan calendar, Ethiopian calendar, even reading turtle shells is negative? No. Most white people don't even know how to read. Most of them learn from what they call from their warlocks and high priestesses and high priests. So we have to be careful listening to all of this energy because astrology is connected to tarot. And remember I said white people don't have spirit in the first place because they're practical. As well as Asians, as well as Indians. And I'm not going to get all into that because most of you guys fall under their practices. I was just telling somebody this weekend, I had to go get some spiritual work. I had to do some shit. And I'm just standing there minding my business, and all of them are Latino and white people. When I walked in, they all turned looking at me, and I'm looking at them. And I had this Latino guy that was trying to hover or trying to be, and I can tell. I said, he's in the house. So he's trying to show the masculinity and that dominant energy. He's in the house. He's probably practicing Ifa. He think I'm the daughter of Oshun or one of them or something. And he kept trying to mug me. And I just smiled at him like, nigga, please. And he was a Latino guy. And that showed me that black people are not into their spirituality anymore. Period. Practicing orishas is not a form of spirituality. It's just a form of practical ritual. Period. Meanwhile, we'll say, again, they have mental illness. We don't even think about, like I was reading about the woman from Harry Potter. She was saying that trans women aren't women. Then why are you calling them women? Just call them dudes. But we didn't realize that they had us under spell work and they had us under ritual all this time. See, we're under the ritual. I'm going to call it a sporus. S-P-O-R-U-S. Sporus. We're under that ritual. We're under the Romanist energy of Sporus, who is castrated, married off to men, became men lover of Rome and emperors of Rome. He was a slave boy. They castrated him, made him into a pseudo female. And all the men hated women, beat up women, killed their wives during the Romanist days, as they call it, the first century. But we don't talk about this among that culture. So they didn't set up and what they call explorers us with all of these energies, and our black men fell for it. They fell under that frequency. But did they really? Or is this all a social media illusion? How is it black men fell under this frequency that they will cut off their dicks or become a woman? In this whole folklore energy, this man, this young boy was a slave and he was passed around. And they said at the end, he killed himself because they were trying to have him in a Spartans arena to be raped by various men. And he couldn't take it anymore because they passed him around. We don't even realize how much rituals that we're under. I was reading about the Afro surfers and understanding the Afro surfers and where they came from, that the first surfboards, and sometimes they call them canoe surfboards, came from Africa. So that makes a lot of sense to Noah's Ark. That makes a lot of sense to the very energies that we know of. So they were talking about the first energies that the first surfboard and stuff that they found it came from West Africa. And they say it was a lot of importing and exporting. They did a lot of fishing and so on. And there's evidence of this. Then when the white folks came along, they found it interesting because their asses were sinking in the water. So they had the idea of creating or building boats and all of that was really from our ancestors. See, we really don't know what the fuck is going on. There was a lot of energies taught to these people. Some people say that was the downfall because that helped them transport people back and forth to the islands. And the thievery of stealing from Madagascar and the vanilla and medicines and so on. Just stealing. We all up here thinking surfboarding is white boyish and Polynesian and all that. Nah, came from our people. Came from melanin. They're not going to tell you that Ford stole the car, the whole car energy from a whole black man. I have to look that up again and give you that information. You guys can look it up yourself. We so desensitized. I was listening to a whole Jeep commercial. And in the Jeep commercial, it was for a Jeep Wrangler. And the man kept saying four by ye. And I'm pronouncing it wrong. And I kept listening. I said, did they just steal lingo from Lil Scrappy? I hope he got paid. Because they done stole his whole lingo and language. You have China sending warships and more over there to Israel, allegedly. And they all friends. You have them talking about a devil comet going to hit our black asses. Oh, well. They're over there creating and testing nuclear bombs and nuclear frequencies. China liquidating money. We're distracted. But we'll say they have a mental illness. Right? Everybody is upset with DJ Khaled. Why? Talk about he's Palestinian. How do you know he's Palestinian? He could be a whole Puerto Rican lying and saying he a Palestinian. You want him to be loyal to something? This nigga got money, allegedly. He don't care what's going on in Palestine. That's what I'm talking about. You say they got mental disorders? You have a mental disorder. They said Suzanne Summers died of breast cancer. I said, how? Again? Or did she just sell the likes of herself? And she gonna come back in 1, 2, 3 years. In a minute, in the next 2 to 3 years, we're gonna see Jamie Foxx abandoned house. And we're gonna forget about all this shit that went on. And you're gonna see them explorers explore his house. And it's gonna be abandoned. On Saturday Night Live, they have really became cult-like, right? Bad Bunny was on there, and we had motherfuckers on there like Lady Gaga and stuff. She must be broke or something because she owed people money who found her dog, and the judge stated that she didn't have to give them that money. But they found her dog. This is the same woman that even paid the guy that almost got sacrificed for them goddamn dogs. I'm doing it. Stop it. I'm doing a video. So, but we don't have questions in reference to Saturday Night Live and where it's going. Ice Spice was on Saturday Night Live. Why? But I also seen her in a commercial with Ben Affleck. What did he do? Who does he owe? Jada Pinkett, I don't know what's going on. I think that's somebody else talking for her. I don't believe that's Jada Pinkett. I don't know what's going on with that energy. That's not her frequency, and she is a Virgo. Virgos don't put themselves out there like that. And when you start to look at her features and frequencies, I told you I think she's Prince, but you know that's giggles and laughs. But this energy with her and her marriage, and she talk about Chris Rock and all that shit. The fuck is going on? And she's on People magazine talking about her side of the story. Now she up there acting like she don't know shit. And are we going to continuously say, these are the people, and we don't ask any questions? You got people accusing Cher of killing her son, allegedly. We got Shirley Caesar acting like she 20 years old, jumping on men. Is that Shirley Caesar? That don't look like Shirley Caesar. Last time I seen Shirley Caesar, she was kind of hunched and walking. You got an 80-plus-year-old woman acting like she fucking 15? But they have the issue. Okay. How in the hell does LL Cool J come out in the early 80s and we have more respect for Jay-Z? How is it does DMX handle a crowd and we got more respect for Jay-Z. How is it we rode for Rough Riders not knowing Rough Riders was really whiter army men for, what is it, the a Spanish cavalry, or a Spanish American cavalry, whatever was going on with that, when in reality we should be respecting Buffalo Soldiers who won and helped Cuba? That Rough Riders have nothing to do with black people? When are we going to understand that AI is ghetto? You're going to see. So is MetaWorld. How did biracial energies become a subculture? That's a mental illness all within itself. How come we didn't realize Tamar Braxton can sing her ass off and she being sacrificed? And you didn't realize she could out-sing Toni Braxton, and Toni Braxton is just a replica of Anita Baker? That's some cold game, and that's a cold bewitchery. How come we didn't peep that they're trying to stop travel by talking about his bed bugs in Paris? How come we not tripping on this man that all of a sudden had a mental breakdown on Alaska Airlines and was trying to kill motherfuckers? They just want us to stay where we're at, huh? But they have a mental disorder and we don't, and we not catching it. Gotcha. How come we didn't peep all that time that the Jacksons were jealous of Michael Jackson and Jermaine Jackson had a diss song back in the day over his brother, Michael Jackson? Huh? We just talking. Bewitchery. How come now we have people sampling Dionne Warwick? What are they about to do with Dionne Warwick? And how come we didn't peep that Dionne Warwick music has demons undertone? As well as Stevie Wonder. But you have to listen to it at a certain frequency, because the way they have the music based these days, you can't hear it as well. But Dionne Warwick was under some shit. What I'm more curious about is, where is her perfume she had called Dionne? Krishan? My son said he thinks she has autism. That video that she did, her current, is horrible. And the one she did with the white boy is even worse. But we'll say she has a mental disorder. No, we have a mental disorder for condoning her and riding with it. How did we let it slip that they didn't found some Maui children who were in their feces and locked in cages and sedated? How did we miss that? And there's still children missing. What the fucks? What's happening here? What's going on with Keke Palmer that she's up there mimicking Selena? What is going on with, what's her name, with Alba, and she was up there kind of grinding on Usher? The fucks? They got to the mental disorder, or we do? You tell me. Did you know the real Jason or Halloween Man was a Puerto Rican with the same look. He didn't even have to wear the mask. I was like, Lord, told you art imitates life. Right? Have you been looking at Jason Lee? He's looking real interesting, isn't he? Have y'all seen Snoop Dogg's wife? Is she okay? Is she well? Is she, because it looked like she's under chemotherapy or some kind of energy, like there's something going on. Hmm. Hmm. Israel told citizens to evacuate Egypt and Jordan. Why? There's this prince they call named Igbo Amaka, and I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's Igboamaka, and I don't want to hear shit from you motherfuckers trying to talk shit. My whole thing is, why am I seeing this man walk in his village with a white woman? And they keep talking about that he's this, he's that, he's a true king, he's a king. But why is he walking the village with a white woman? Nearly 9,000 Marines didn't get vaccinated by the deadline. Many risk kick out of the corps, meaning they didn't get the whoop wop vaccination. Wonder what that's about. People around here saying DJ Khaled is a bitch ass. What is going on in Louisiana that there was this horrible pileup with this smoky, foggy air and people couldn't see? Britney Spears' eldest son, Sean Preston, has turned 18. Does that mean Kevin Federline loses part of the money? But I thought she had twins. I'm a little confused. Didn't she have twins? Didn't she have two boys? So wouldn't he lose both their incomes? Is that because he was trying to move to Hawaii? Remember that one? You're just talking. What is up with this Corinne Jean? What's her name? Perry. Her energy is off. She did a briefing. It says briefing by White House press secretary. I was listening to it because it was, under Yahoo Finance. Yeah, okay. She's a specimen, but they're crazy. And we're not. And we're listening to this shit and her behavior. Arkansas to force Chinese state-owned company to give up its American land. So, my whole frequency in looking at all of this is we have to look at who are victims, who are basically collateral damage, and we have to stop pointing fingers sometimes and take responsibility instead of accountability. See, that's the trick. That's the spell work, right? And understand that some of these people are victims. But we are under such a mental illness ourselves, we don't see it. We are desensitized our fucking selves. We don't even understand the rituals that we're under. We don't understand the bewitchery that we're under, right? And how to cope and how to move in it. That's why I keep talking about urban voodooism. Right? Anyway, this is Weird Renegade Witches blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done.